I was in a foreign country and I didn't know what I was doing, and I was trying to learn a whole completely different language without any help from my natural language. 여러분 안녕하세요. 제 이름은 Marlon Ailester이라고 하고요. 한국에서 산지 거의 4년 되었고 오늘은 한국에 있는 어학당의 제 경험에 대한 이야기를 해볼까 합니다. So one of the biggest questions that I get whenever I make a video and I'm speaking Korean or that I say that I live in Korea is how do you speak Korean so well? And when I tell people one of the biggest reasons I do speak Korean so well is because I went to a language school, the comments and everything are flooded with questions of what are the language schools like? How did you go to language school? How was the process? And what was your experience with that? So today, I want to talk about how the language school system works in Korea and how my experience was and how you can do it too. And so this video is going to be in kind of 3 parts. I think it's going to start with my experience, how you can sign up, and the kind of documentation stuff that you might need. And that's not very much, that'll be very short, but that's kind of how I'm going to go about it. So first, I want to talk about my experience with the system. So overall, I had a very, 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 very positive experience with the system, mostly because I really loved Korea when I first came here. And so when I first came to Korea, I wanted to find a reason to be able to continue to stay, whether that be working or whether that being a student. And I found out through friends and friends of friends that language school was a very good way to not only get a visa, but also to learn the language and culture at the same time as while you're living or traveling in Korea. And so I took that opportunity and I went to one of the schools that I was closest to at the time, which was Hanyang. I have the book here still. I was there for a couple of semesters, but I'll talk about that later. I went there and I asked how to sign up, and it was a lot simpler than what I had expected. However, this was a few years ago, so this system might be a little bit different now. But when I went there, I just went there and they asked me, can you get your high school transcript? Can you pay this? And then you're able to stay. And so that's what I did. I ended up going to Hanyang University's language program for Korean, and I was there from level 1 to level 4. Typically, Korean language programs have a level system where it goes from level 1, which is the immediate beginner where you don't even know things like 감사합니다, which is thank you, or you don't know how to say 이거는 제 가방이에요, like this is my bag. Very, very simple things. You don't know how to do that from level 1 all the way to level 6, where you're giving presentations about the political systems of Korea or about the economic state of your home country or about the presidential races, stuff like that. So it can range really, really big from 1 to 6, and you can end up choosing where you want to end the program. But I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know where I was going, but I knew that I wanted to stay in Korea, and I knew that this program was going to help me with the future of my language learning and my culture understanding of Korean life. So I was there from level 1 to level 4, and then I took a small break to continue to study and to do some work. And then once I was done with studying and work for a little bit more, I ended up going to Yonsei, which is one of the biggest schools in Korea. They also have a language program. A lot of schools now have language programs, but Yonsei's is one of the oldest and one of the best in my opinion. And I went to their school for about 3 semesters, which is level 4, 5, 6. And then while I was there, that was the school that I finished at. That was my peak. I went from level 1 to level 6, and then I was done. That was the most that I got out of it. And that was my favorite language school between the two. So this was the school that I was at the most recently, which is about like almost 2 years now, which is crazy to think about. But Hanyang's felt a little bit more free. Hanyang felt like they were giving you a lot more liberty and a lot more space to make mistakes and stuff like that. Whereas at Yonsei, it felt much more strict and it felt much more like something that I had to really work towards. But that was because I was in a later stage from level 4 to level 6. These are usually places where people are going there to be office workers or to be people that are going to live in Korea. Whereas level 1 to level 4, usually people are just there to, learn about Korean culture, or when they're traveling, they want to also do some language classes while they're there. So the language classes are usually from 9 to 1, and every semester you will have a new teacher. Every semester you have a new set of books you have to buy, and it's not really that hard to get used to. Once you finish one semester, all the other ones are very, very similar. It's just with different subjects. And one of the biggest things is that it is only in Korean. Even level 1, you are starting with only Korean. You are not speaking any English in the classroom with your teacher, with your classmates. You're only speaking to them in Korean. And I think that's the best way to do it, because that is what got me to the point where I am now. And so I'm very, very grateful for that system. But it was very daunting at first. I was a little bit scared at how I was in a foreign country and I didn't know what I was doing, and I was trying to learn a whole completely different language without any help from my natural language. And if you look at these books, there is absolutely no English or no Chinese or whatever your native language is. There is no helping words. There's nothing that is even directing you in your native language basically at all. It may sound really stressful, but honestly, it was one of the best things that I ever did for my life. I love the Korean language and I'm so happy that I was able to do this experience, and I wish I could do it again. But now my level is much more advanced and I would have to be doing much more stressful classes, which would be beyond what this is. This would have to be an outside source, I suppose. But there are other schools outside of the university systems, but I believe that the university systems are the best. I think they are the most professional, and I think that they are the most bang for your buck. Per semester, it ranges between 1.3 million to 1.5 million won, which is maybe $1,000 a semester, $1,200 a semester. Very, very little. The semesters go for 10 weeks and classes are Monday to Friday from 9 to 1, from 9 to 2, depending on how you want. Or you can do afternoon classes, which is like from 2 to 5 or 2 to 6, depending on your class. My first semester, I had a teacher that was like a military teacher or something. She would run that class like it was the military. Like if anyone made a mistake in that class, she would make sure that they would fix it. This is not a normal thing. I don't want to scare you into thinking that's what it's going to be like, but I had a really high intensity level 1 class, and I feel like that really helped me going forward, because I would make sure I would never make a mistake in my language classes going forward. Even though my teachers were super nice, I was always scared to be wrong. But anyway, that's besides the point. You will probably not have a teacher like that, but that teacher was infamous at that school. Whenever I told my later teachers that I had that teacher, they're like, oh my god, how was it? Were you okay? Like, how was getting through level 1? It was level 1 and I was being kind of like military style taught. It was really, really intense. But I really do now, looking back, thank that teacher for helping me as much as she did. Even though she didn't do it in the kindest way, it was really, really helpful. Besides the point, I want to talk about the documents that you need for getting into a language school. I believe for Asian countries, it's a little bit different, but I'm going to speak for Americans and for Europeans, I believe. All you need is your high school transcript, your passport, and some money, and that's all that you need. You also need a place to stay, but you can do that through the university that you're staying at, or you can do that on your own. I did it on my own. I was staying at an Airbnb because it was really cheap. I was paying like $300 a month for an Airbnb. You can look around yourself, or you can choose to stay at the student housing there. It depends on how you want to do it, but the longer that you stay there, I think after 3 semesters, you got to find your own housing. So keep that in mind. I'll put the information for these websites here. I'll show you how to locate and what website it is. I'll use Yonsei, for example, but also in the description, I'll put different schools that are very popular in Korea. Some of the most popular schools are Yonsei, Korea University, and Sogang University. These are the most popular for the language programs. I would personally recommend Yonsei. They are the oldest and one of the biggest schools that have been doing this. I really, really liked their program when I was there, but look around and see other people's videos and their experiences with different schools and what you might be interested in going forward. But I really believe that without these language schools, I would not be at the level of Korean that I am now. And it is really something that was life-changing. And I have met so many friends that had left Korea now that they finished their language school process, and they want to come back to Korea because they really felt so welcomed and so helped and so intrigued by what the language school had to offer, that they are willing to hopefully come back to Korea and continue learning the language, whether that be at a language school or whether that be on their own. But I really believe that these language schools are so helpful, and I hope that you can do it too. I will put resources in the description so you can see for yourself some of these websites for the universities. I hope you take a look at them because they really, really are very, very helpful. I really love them. If you have any questions, please feel free to leave them in the comments. I will do my best to help you because I know that this process can be a little bit confusing and a little bit annoying at times. So if you have any comments or concerns, please let me know in the comments and I will try to do my best to help you. If you do plan on coming to Korea, whether that be through a language school or whether that just be through vacation, I really hope you enjoy your time, and I hope to see you in my next video because I make tons of videos about Korea, Korean language, Korean culture, life in Korea, things that I have experienced in Korea. So I hope to see you in the next video. Thank you so much for watching. Goodbye.